Welcome back to Heart Powered Conversations. Today, I have a very special guest, Rachel Te Wano. She is a healer, a sound healer, a soul healer, a womb shaman, earth intuitive. She is the epitome of an earth walker and a mentor to women walking their spiritual path of embodiment, embodying the wisdom, and she is all things magic and all things femininity and all things earth. And I'm so excited to have her here. Welcome, 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 Rachel. Welcome to Heart Powered Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really blessed and honored, and I'm really excited because I know the first time we connected, there was like that real synergy of our energies, and we were like two little girls, like talking and being so excited because we spoke the same language of the earth. So, yeah, thank you. I love what you are bringing to the planet, and I feel so privileged to sit with you and see what unfolds.
Thank you. And I feel very privileged that you said yes to coming on and having this conversation. And we got connected by our dear friend, Louise Karen Harris, who was on this podcast a couple months ago. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should. It's absolutely fantastic. She is the Earth Chakra Shaman, a fellow Earth Walker, and a dear sister. And the energy, if you resonate with the energy today, you will love Louise as well. So, speaking of all things Earth Walking, if somebody is hearing this term for the first time, you and I use it as an earth keeper, as a grid worker. How would you explain the work that you do to somebody who is listening for the first time?
So for me, it's a real organic connection to the voice of the earth, whether that's delivered through a call where I intrinsically, internally feel this drumbeat pull to a sacred site or a location, or it could be as simply as hearing the bees whispering their medicine, or just feeling the wind and being able to deeply connect to it, to understand it, to be one with it, really. And I actually think we are wired to have this connection. I think just in the modern world, it's been severed. And so the Earth Walker is one with the earth. It's available to everyone.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's so such a beautiful description of it and such a humble description that doesn't take on, I'm here to do this work and I'm doing this work and I'm saving something. And it's the energy of co-creation and co-weaving. And as a humble child coming to her and saying, use me as you will, use me as the instrument of love, and I surrender to you. And I won't create stories around in my head, in my ego around this, and I allow myself to be a part of this magic because ultimately it is magic, isn't it?
Profound magic, a magic that we can talk about. And, I'm new to speaking about my earth service. It was always something I did silently and sort of not separately, but I didn't really share the multi-dimensional visions and things that I was doing with the earth. And I've sort of weaved it into my retreats, and it's not until the people gather and we may breathe in and then grandmother wind comes in and you really begin to see the signs from the earth that no human can make up. So the magic, it's undeniable, and it's really profound and beautiful. And it's when you open to that and you weave with the elements, we always say you just can't make it up. It's just too beautiful. And the level of joy is profound as well from that connection.
I think we all want to experience magic to some degree, right? We believe that it exists when we are on the spiritual path, but seeing it is is that confirmation that our mind is always searching for. And I love how you brought up retreats, that you weave it into the retreats that you host. I know you've hosted a lot of retreats. So I would love to hear maybe a story from one of your favorite, or about one of your favorite places to take women to. And then also if you have any wisdom to share, because literally every woman I speak with, she feels the call to one, go to retreats, but also to step into the role of a leader hosting retreats. If there is anything you can share for somebody who is looking to begin this path as well. I know, sorry, that was
Yeah,
a two-part big question.
absolutely. So retreats is something that organically sort of unfolded as I stepped into my service, honoring what the women around me were asking for. And probably the biggest, when there's a calling and it feels too big for our humanness, like, oh, who am I to honor that? That is the call of New Zealand, Aotearoa, and the women used to stand on this lake and sing to me and call me to the waters. And my husband is Māori and we live in Australia. And so I never really honored that call because I knew that when I touched down on that land, I wouldn't come home. And I'm so close to my family. So I kind of just went everywhere else in the world. And finally, I kind of made peace, and they were singing me so much. I would go into dream time, and there they were. They were showing me the crystals in Lake Taupo and giving me the medicine and the wisdom, the forgotten wisdom. So finally, I said to my husband, we have to find this lake, this where they call me. So we went on a 3-week adventure with my boys and my husband to really see if that is, where we wanted to live. And it was really funny. I found the place I knew, but it was on a reserve, like a traditional reserve. So we had to ask permission. And I was like to my husband, you have to go and give the gifts and get me on there. This is what I've been looking for. And really sacred land on Lake Taupo. So he got me in. He was quite nervous, and we found the space. And, through lots of tears and remembrance and activation of my whole family, I decided to honor that call and open up for retreat space. And it was quite profound. The women, we would Google the Māori words because I didn't know it, but they were saying, this is your whenua, and sharing the wisdom. And I'd go out to my husband, what's this word? And he would Google it, and this is the land. And the first group that I took to New Zealand, when we would hold ceremony on the waters, the sun would beam through right at the moment where she was being asked to illuminate. The sun's rays would come upon her. A bee followed us into the sacred waterfall the entire way. And every time we joined, the honeybee would come. And I always say that she's the gatekeeper of the mystery, the wisdom keeper. And just like those lands in New Zealand, they hold a template of a forgotten time, of a time that's within our DNA. And so as we stood in retreat circle and sung and remembered how to commune beyond words, how to connect in that multi-dimensional way, those ripples were felt not only in the group that joined, but in their family and in their community at the same time. And so even though it's really humble work, these retreats and honoring the calls, the impact is not only individual and not only collective through the earth grids, but it's felt in loved ones and children and through the lineage line. So if anyone is feeling that They want the momentum and the full activation of sleeping in a, I call it like a field of energy where we come into that space for the entirety and really, really go deep. Yeah, retreats on sacred sites, they're second to none. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I completely agree with one everything you said and the piece about sleeping in a place where your mind is quiet and you surrender to it and you allow your body to be the sponge that takes it all in, because the truth of it is we've had lifetimes in all these places across thousands and thousands of years, and it's like our body is able to take in the codes that we ourselves left behind, and that we the all those times we were consciously working with the earth, it's all coming back to us. Our masteries are reawakening, and yes to healing the generations past and generations forward. I see that for myself and I see that in others, like these golden threads that are changing the patterns and the fabric of our reality.
Mm,
So as much as retreats can be joyful and finding yourself as a personal development, there is this piece of you're doing such important healing work that sometimes it might take you 5 years if you didn't go, and it's something
yeah.
unlocks and it's a new things revealed. And another thing, and I know you will agree with this, we find our soul families when we go. It's always the women who are, I get chills thinking about it when you come together. It's your soul family reunited. It's from all around the world, and it's bizarre and it's but that's how it happens. You hear that call and you come and you're just reunited.
Yeah. And so many times I believe, and I've witnessed, on my Glastonbury retreat, that some of us had never met before, and we joined and we knew each one of us without a doubt that we had agreed to meet on that equinox at that time. We just came together for it again. And then we just went on our ways. And the bonds that are created are everlasting. They're deep, but joyous. We go deep, but we also laugh. There's got to be, after a really big magnitude of profound knowing and activation, my ladies always say, then, I flip it into joy, because we can't get stuck in the magnitude because it can stop us. But when we layer it with innocence and joy and vulnerability, it's a really beautiful integration. Yeah, and we're just like, okay, on to the next one. We're not caught in the ego, in the magnitude.
The magnitude keeps you looping in the ego. It 100
So,
100% does. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to one day go with you somewhere. I don't know where it will be. It will be somewhere. It will be somewhere magical. Okay. My eyes keep getting drawn to the beautiful chalices, the gold chalices behind you. Can you share
yes.
about that?
Yeah, so these are the aspects of Sophia. So to me, Sophia birthed that spark of creation, and she sent aspects of herself to the earth to walk as that divine feminine remembrance that we all, many aspects. And she didn't send all of the Mother Marys. She sent the dark and the light to really bring the energy through. And so it took me 2 years to find the craftsman that I wanted to work with for a chalice of my own, and it's the eight-pointed star. And when I used to work with the chalice in session, it would whisper to me, create the aspects. And I'd be like, no, I've got the grandmothers, I've got the bees, no. As we resist some of the most beautiful things, kept doing it. So I was like, okay, I will. and I knew I had a vision of this woman that I'd seen on Instagram. And so I reached out to her and we joined, and I just sort of leaned forward and I said, we have to create these seagulls in the way we used to. And she's like, I said, remember in Lemuria? Remember me? And I mean, how wacky. But she just leaned in and she's like, okay. So I emanated each aspect and we went on our own individual etheric sort of journey. And then after each aspect was emanated, we would share what we saw. We both had the same vision 6 times. So it really, that created in the newness, in the beyond, without the human words to shackle and to complicate. You know how perceptions of language can shackle us and our consciousness. So these chalices, I get them handmade and then they're sprayed with 24 karat gold to remind us of the conductors that our body temples are. And one of my soul gifts is to commune with crystal. And so I work with the crystal component of these chalices. And when I receive them, I go into ceremony and wake up the aspect of Sophia within them. They are tuned to the F note and, of course, 432 frequency, because that is the original sound. So I have the Black Madonna here. And I always say these chalices are not, they play with us. We don't need to like really play them, because what I've found is they hold the note until the group exhales or the client lets go of that karmic contract. They really weave with and they enhance our own gifts. So yeah, let me just strum and feel. She's asking me to tone with her. So there's a little bit of magic from the Black Madonna.
Oh, how beautiful. If you're just listening, there are engravings. Is that
Yeah, so
call it
they're
on the
etched
side of
with
the
the
chalice?
seal. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see it through the inside too. So as you play, you can see it and it's also emanating out. And
Yeah.
we know that sound, and the healing frequency, I think sound is the future.
Oh,
Frequency is the future.
100%. I
Yeah,
felt it. So
yeah.
I felt it activate the heart straight away, and then it descended in a spiral to my womb and kind of circulated there. And when you did shot, like my right ovary just went like release, release, release. Like it was really,
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I
So
felt
the
it. I felt it so strongly. So thank you. Thank you for that. What are the aspects?
So
Black
the
Madonna.
aspects, there's yeah, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, White Buffalo Woman, the Black Madonna, Mother Isis, and Hathor. And then I went to Egypt and received a beautiful gift from Sekhmet. So I coded that in. There's only 22 of those ever made. That was just a special thing that, I wanted to birth, because Sekhmet really holds the frequency of working the earth's inner waters and bringing it up through the serpent, through our body temple, but balancing it with the light of Ra. And her medicine really says, my love, know that when you fall, I've already picked you up. So I think in this time of exponential growth and change, it's really beautiful to know that our body is the temple and we're supported by the elements above and below. And the waters hold so much memory. And it's those memories that can really activate our DNA. It's that simple.
Hmm. Thank you. Okay, so for somebody watching this, listening this, and saying, I want I want to have what she's having. I want to live this way. I and I'm hearing surrender, surrender. Teach teach them to surrender. And that's a difficult task to do. And the mind is struggling. But what would be your advice for somebody on this path who is feeling the call, who is afraid of the financially what it might mean, of who is not quite fully in their trust, who is still maybe seeking all the books, all the things, all the how would you encourage somebody to go about stepping into this version of themselves that they see in you?
Okay, well, for me, I think I've never seeked. And I feel that the simplicity of the mundane is the most powerful. So, creating devotion into your day to have space to hear your inner world is one of the most profound things you can do. So, I recommend for 3 months, put away the books, put away all the things, and each morning, take something that you do each day and do it in nature barefoot. You know, if you're having your coffee, it can be a coffee that you're rushing as you're getting the kids or you're getting ready for work or whatever your day looks like. Pause and give yourself 15 minutes barefoot outside or just looking at the sky and turn it into a ritual of receiving. And in that receiving of whatever the drink is, make it sacred. Make it an opportunity to hear whatever part of you that needs to be heard in that moment. And just create that space. With the fear component, we all have it. No one misses out. I know people look at me and they're like, what do you mean you got on a plane and left your kids for 5 days to fly and honor the call? So many times I cry. I cry to leave my children. It breaks my heart. I'm so scared sometimes to fly into Central Park, New York, because that is this huge template on the earth that, quite frankly, bloody scares me. No one misses out on the fear. There's just two types of people. Those that step into the fear because there's a faith that the magic and the beauty will come from the compression and facing that fear. And others, I feel they don't look away from the fear, but it actually just stays in their energy field. So I recommend, hey, just leaning in, getting a support person, someone that can hold you in a safe space to face that fear, because that fear is just going to keep coming around anyway. Yeah, the calls don't stop. And at this time of great awakening, no one is going to miss out on facing these challenges. And just like the teachings of Black Madonna, I say, when the call comes, honor it, because if you don't, the slaps just get bigger and harder. So please, like, gather your women, gather your support system, whether it's a mentor or whether it's, a good friend that's real and raw, and just be vulnerable. Just say, I'm scared. Because when we call it out, the big monster dissolves, and we can then step into those small steps every day to face them. Yeah.
I love that. I love that advice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I find that the seeking piece it's been part of my journey, but it was as as we work through things, it becomes our medicine, right? As we alchemize something. And Spirit would always say, you're here for the seekers to guide them from being a seeker into their embodiment, because seeking it's numbing.
Wow.
It can become an addiction where we're stuck in it and we keep asking ourselves, but how do I get to where this person I'm reading about? And you get to it by closing the book and, like you said, creating that ritual, that ceremony, that devotion. And it does
Yeah,
take commitment, and it does take discipline in some ways to
absolutely.
choose very consciously, to choose something different. But ultimately your desire and the slaps that you're being provided by the universe, God is, it does get you. It's just a matter of how do you want to go about it? Do you want to surrender to it, or do you want to keep spiraling and looping and all the things? Okay, you've mentioned your family several times, and
Mm,
a lot of women, we find ourselves that we are the first ones in the family to be cold and consciously step into it. And I have this conversation a lot with dear friends, with women I interview, and there seems to be this common thread that a lot of the time there is a contract where the partner is there to play the role of a grounding container so that she can come and she can unfold and she can come in her power and all the things, right? And then he steps forward, he starts walking towards her. And I work a lot with women going through these relationships of different consciousness levels. If you are okay sharing the any wisdom from your relationship of your husband and
mm,
with your kids as well, what that has
mm,
been like of stepping into this role, and how to navigate it really, because
mm.
that and it's not stopping. This trend, this the next 10, 20 years is just going to keep going, and women desperately need the support because they often just see the only solution is I have to leave him and do this alone, or I have to suppress what I'm doing and all the things. So I'd love to hear some of your
Ah,
wisdom on this.
yeah, there's so many layers there actually, but I will say, I have previously had relationships where they were boys. I look back now and they were boys and they were threatened by my energetics, by magnetism. And I feel really blessed. I always say it was my best decision, my husband, because he just is that strong masculine. He's not threatened. He bows to the feminine just as I bow to his strength. I couldn't do what I do without him. In all honesty, I could say, my love, I have to go to Antarctica because it's a calling, and he would be like, I've got the kids, you go, what do you need? He really doesn't fully understand. In the beginning he had no idea, so I would just go off and do it and come back, and he'd just hold me and feel the magnitude. And then when we'd all sleep in the same bed, I would then feel they couldn't touch me because I would zap them, and then their energy would organically, without words, upgrade to match me. And because I see energy, I would see that. And it wasn't until I took them to Glastonbury and Egypt, we did a big trip, and Dubai actually. And I watched them on the lands, and they began to understand what it is I do. And I would share with them the wisdom. And they just kind of, one of my sons is like, no, I don't get it. I don't believe it, but I love what you do. Like he's so discerning. He's like that new template. You can't tell him anything, you know. He's got a fully, you know, he just does it his way. And I love that, but they honor what I do. And then my clients have been asking, they see the family template, they see the reverence, and many women have come on my retreats and said, you know, my husband wants me to go on your retreats because when I come home, I see him more because of how you have a reverence for your husband. It's something, you know, and they go home and their husband feels it, and the issues within their different consciousness levels seem to merge a little better. So I said to my husband, well, New Zealand is your land. Will you drive on the retreat and just hold the space for me and whoever's called? So he did. And we didn't think much of it, but my husband's quite chivalrous. And the women I attract are very capable, strong women. And so, just for an example, my husband would clear the path because we go a bit off grid, you know, to find the secret spaces that have most of the potency. It's not normally where everyone else is. And so he would just organically sort of clear the path and help them over the wood. But what happened was these strong women found a safety in their softness because he simplifies it so beautifully. Like, no, give me your hand, I'll help you. And instead of like, no, I've got this, they're like, oh, thank you. And so what happens is, in that simplicity of not like, we're not sitting around doing men and it's just this organic vibration of what he brings allows them to take that and then soften to their husbands and allow the husband to lead them. Because I think this unification of within us that plays out in our family templates is really the core of this shift. Yes, women are leading, but we can't do it without this strong masculine to really do that for us. So that is my family dynamic. My children, they love to travel. We've traveled with them since they were babies, but they're also very capable. My last trip, I wanted to take them and they're like, no, Mama, you go and we'll go with you to Dubai next time because they love Dubai. So, you know, they have this stability
Oh,
within themselves.
everything you said resonates so deeply. The softening, the witnessing him, the all of it just, and I do find that when you go to these places, for example, Egypt, you go and you have an experience with the goddesses, with the queens, with the energies, that strong feminine that is there. There is a piece of surrender that invites you into because of the way that you are taken care of by the staff everywhere, right? And in order to truly walk your path with the energy of the goddess, the queen, the whatever energy it is, it's not doing everything yourself. It's allowing for help, to allowing to receive from other sisters, from other brothers, from your partner. And it's a softening that doesn't give away power. It's a softening that allows for love and service to flow back to you as you're flowing it into the world. So I love that. And I love that your boys are growing up to be this new template, this new everything. And it's just, it's exactly what we need. Okay, you mentioned Dubai. What is your energetic take on the land that is
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, so for me, it's actually under the land and it's the water template that flows deep. And for me, it is the waters hold a capacity, a limitlessness. So it makes total sense of what was created so quickly there. There's a place in the northwest of Australia where the land and the wind move really quickly. So if you move there, you will move through your stuff very quickly. There's a quickening. In Dubai, there's this unlimited, it's the place to be to open the ceilings of whatever it is you're working through. For us as a family, we love the water parks, we love to play, so it's our sanctuary to be out on the palm, and we stay at the water park and just cocoon. So whenever I'm in Dubai, I know there's so many amazing things and everything you could possibly imagine. But when we go to Dubai and when I've held a retreat there, I really want to anchor and go deep down into the core of the waters in the earth there. And that for me is the potency and the ability to smash through the ceilings of society's conditioning, of our own limiting beliefs. So that's the template that I read of Dubai. Yeah,
I love
I
it.
think it's
Thank
needed.
you.
Yeah, I think it's needed, and I'm excited. It's like a cauldron, isn't it, of all nationalities, and it's really representing the newness, the ancient customs, but with a modern world. And it makes total sense because that land template holds that frequency of new normals, of newness. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, what about America? Because a lot of my listeners are American,
Okay.
and it's going to be in the news everywhere in the next month, big time. What places in the United States, Canada, Mexico, even North America, the continent, what has drawn you there, and how do you perceive, sense, feel the energies there?
hmm So I've spent a lot of time in New York, Connecticut, and I actually traveled there with my eldest son last year in April, and I was called to go back to Central Park. I was there in 2019. For me, Central Park it's the head of the dark. Let's just say that. And I say that knowing because I work with galactic entities and off planet energies, but within all that, there is light. So I just want to say that. Yeah. So when I get called there, it's a big service. And there was a real shift in the template of New York. It was quite profound for me. And all's my son and I wanted to do, he actually started it. When we would sit in a cafe, he'd be like, Mum, let's see how many people will look at us in the eye. Because everyone was in this energy of don't look at me, I don't want to stand out, and I'm wanting to retract. Whereas when I was there in other years and in my 20s, I lived there for a bit, everyone was out and open. So it was quite interesting to watch this retraction. But the retraction, I think, is a deepening, a coming into self, because that land is going through exponential changes, and it takes the stillness, it takes coming into self to find the strength to rebirth. Yeah? So I don't want to layer, any negativity into the template, but the key places that I went to were the Finger Lakes. I've done a year of devotion, so I flew over them and worked with the light of the sun to really activate the lakes all through America. So if anyone is wanting to do energy work, go to the lakes, go to the streams and the waterways, and bring your heart into those waters And then if you need to be replenished, go to go to the ocean, go to grandmother ocean, because she wants to take your woes. And then as you create space, you pray and sing and open your heart to the waters. I feel I will. That trip we went to Canada, I tried to get to Niagara Falls, but it was becoming difficult. And Austin for me is a real new template. And so I've been there, and I was actually meant to go there again, but I feel maybe next year to go to Austin and Lake Louise, because Lake Louise is that connector. Actually, Louise gave me all that information because I don't know all the things. I haven't read all the books. So it's really beautiful to have these women in my world that are like, oh yeah, that's a spinner lake, and it's compensates and activates the work you're doing in New Zealand. Makes total sense you want to go there. Whereas for me, it's just this innocent walk. So yeah, they hold real, they're power points on
Mm.
the Sophionic grid, I call it.
Mm. I love it. Well, I don't think a lot of listeners know this, but my family actually lives pretty close to Lake Louise in Canada.
Oh
My mom, my
wow.
sister, yeah. And we moved to Dubai a year and a half ago from Austin. Depending when you are listening to this, we might be back in Austin already. But Austin has the lakes that and the rivers that you speak of. So it's so
Oh,
interesting because my husband, when we talk about moving back, we both see being on the water, being on the lake or being on the river, having that water moving in front of the house, that being the home, that seeing it, being really close to it. And I've always said to him, I never want to be away from the ocean. I've always lived, except for when the years when I lived in Austin, I've always lived near, whether it was San Francisco, Brighton, Oslo, St. Petersburg, Russia, in Spain we lived, Dubai. It's always near the ocean. And I always say, I'm meant to be. I always see myself moving when I'm older and settling down somewhere on an island. And it might be Hawaii Islands, it might be an island in the Mediterranean. Who knows where it is, but the ocean to me. So I love how you vocalized that the difference between the lake and the ocean energy and the service piece of it. But that's so beautiful. And about Austin, the new template, what I've been shown when living there was that Austin has the potential to be the first crystalline city of the United States. And they would always show me the template of Atlantis that was the golden age Atlantis hovering right over. And they would say, you have to keep bringing through the wisdom and landing in here. And I see the same thing with Dubai as well, the same template, the same thing. But here, the not so light codes of Atlantis are present. And that's what part of the work is to open the hearts and lift that energy so that the true template, the crystalline template and the golden age template can settle in the hearts and in the bodies and in the minds of the people.
I love that. I didn't know that about Austin, but you know, sometimes you don't know. And just to speak to those people in curiosity, I really like, so I didn't know that, and it's been years. And now that piece has landed, and it's a confirmation that, yeah, okay. So you may not know, and it may not look how you think it's going to look, but I promise you, when you honor and step into that and take action, it may be years, it may be months, but you'll get the pieces. And then you'll look back and it will be so profound. You'll be like, yes, yes, okay. So the next time will become easier and easier, and the magic will continue. And then you'll look back and go, oh, I'm there. I'm living that, you know?
and you find yourself leaning into that trust and into that being supported by it so that you can keep
Yeah,
opening up even more. Yeah.
yeah,
But you have
yeah,
to start wherever you are. It's just one step in front of, yeah, and not allowing the mind to dictate the pace and the expectations and all the things. Yeah,
yeah,
we can read all the books on surrender, but ultimately it's that it comes back to that practice.
yeah. And you don't have to know. I think I put my bags down on a property and this I just heard it's time to serve. And I rang my husband and I was like, it's time to serve. I don't know what that means. And sure enough, everything in my life was dissolved. My business, I actually miscarried everything that was happening. And this was quite extreme. Hey, this I'm not saying just declare it and you'll lose everything. This was just my experience. But when I said, okay, I'm ready to serve, everything ended and all these pathways opened up in lightning speed. But it just took me, I didn't even know really what it meant, but to claim that I am ready to serve, palms out, and you watch. You watch how everything aligns to support you, because at the end of the day, you are supported. You just need to take that declaration.
Mm.
Mm.
Beautiful. I feel like you're such a powerful code holder. And I know many people listening to this, oh my goodness, how do I get in this woman's field? How do I work with her? How do you work with people? How do you work with, is it women mostly? Is it men as well?
Predominantly women, but I will say if you're a man and you want to step forward into retreat, I already bow to you in such reverence, because the men that do step forward really hold that strength but are so comfortable in their feminine, and the impact that they have when they step out and also in the retreat is so beautiful. So you can work with me. I work one to one through mentoring. There's a few different options there, and I have a mystery school where it's just this sacred space with all the things, the foundational teachings, the earth walking, the multidimensional activations, that's all in one space. And I also have a practitioner training, which is the DNA Key Weavers training. And this DNA Key process really is that new template delivered in a guided meditation, and that is something else. It's actually so new, we all struggle to put words into what it is. But yeah, that is something. That is something else, the DNA Key
Oh my
Weavers
goodness.
training.
Oh my goodness. Well, I personally can't wait to hear more about it and for it and for I like I could see almost like star frequency. It's like star frequency just everywhere. And unfolding and spreading through the earth as more people come in contact with it and become proficient. It's almost like it was always there. You just had to bring it in so that you can radiate it out. Oh my gosh. Well, I am grateful for this conversation, but I'm really grateful for you being an example of leading with this fortitude and this like certainty that this is the way, like we can question ourselves, but it's ultimately that's what it means to be in our power, is when that fear arises, and all of it is to know the truth in every situation. So thank you for being the template holder and the battery of love and wisdom and all things that you are. And we will have all of the information in the show notes. I will have your Instagram, your website, links to all the programs. Is there anything else you would like to share before we close?
My gratitude for you for creating this platform to have these conversations. And not only, I think, the words of the conversation, but we can all feel it in our bodies, in the emanation and the emanation is the activation. So thank you for these joinings, not only with me and the people that are drawn to listen and be part of, but all the people that you're gathering. And I think it is a time to gather and share the innocent wisdom, the unique wisdom that we all hold. And yeah, thank you. It's really the gratitude that I want to speak to. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, dear listeners, for listening, for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to check out the rest of the episodes and rate, review, subscribe, and send Rachel a DM on Instagram if you enjoyed this, or email her, because that's how we grow this network of light, is through connection. And I know she would love to hear your feedback, what touched you, and thank you. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Blessings.